Hello, I'm Maura Carley, founder and president of Healthcare Navigation, and I'm here today to talk to you about another topic of frequently asked questions that we wish weren't asked so frequently. And that one is, can moving affect my coverage? And the answer is, of course it can. It simply depends on the type of coverage you have and the type of move that you are planning. So let's talk about individual coverage. Individual coverage is always tied to a place of residence and a state. Always. Now, if you move down the street, clearly that is not going to affect the coverage you have in that state. However, if you move to another state, yes, it does affect your coverage. Individual coverage is always regulated by a state insurance department, and so the state you live in matters. Now, let's talk about group coverage. Group coverage is not taking into account the state you live in the same way that individual coverage is, but then you've got to factor in looking at the network, because an issue we have today that worries me is people are saying, oh, I can work remotely now. I can live anywhere. And that's true if your employer has a network where you want to move to. So that can be an important consideration too. And that is pretty unique to the work from home or work remotely era, but it is something that needs to be factored in. But typically, no, it's not a problem. Your employer is taking care of the fact that they're offering you coverage that is relevant where you reside. But let's talk about COBRA for a minute. COBRA, which we'll devote a whole session to, or maybe even two, is the temporary extension of group coverage. So that's an unusual hybrid situation. You're paying for the coverage yourself typically, unless the employer is subsidizing you for some period of time, but you're an appendage of the group. So like working remotely, if the coverage only has a network in a certain geographic area and you move far, far away, let's say, and it's an HMO product, then there aren't going to be any in-network doctors where you live. So that coverage would only help you in urgent and emergency situations. So you have to factor that in. Let's talk briefly about Medicare. I don't want to get into Medicare into too much detail. We have a great deal of information on the education tab of our website, and we'll devote a whole part of our series to Medicare. But just know that original Medicare, A and B, is not tied to a specific residence, but Medicare Advantage plans, which are alternatives to original Medicare, Medicare Part D plans are. Medicare supplements are also tied to a state or place of residence, or a region, but often they are portable, which means you can take that coverage with you. And then you just call the company that you've purchased a supplement from and say, I've moved, here's my new address, what's my new premium? So it's extremely important that when you're planning a move, you add to that lengthy to-do list, how does moving affect my coverage? Thank you for listening. Hope to see you soon. Take good care.